Great. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this presentation. Going to talk about the ARP, the Applied Research Project. And my name is Jim Moore, and I'm an ARP instructor for online blended programs in the MAP department at the Chicago School, and also representing the NCADE department. And there's two other ARP instructors on the line too from MAP, and that's Ileana Torres, and she'll be working with the chat box, and also Gina Patrick. And the three of us make up the MAP department Applied Research Project instructors who will be working with you. So just to kind of talk about what the outcomes of the meeting today is we're going to give a high-level overview of the Applied Research Project, then talk a little bit about the MAP ARP course sequence, the roles of the ARP instructors in terms of the work we'll do with you in these courses, the reviewing format for work that's turned in, policy on late assignments, communication and professionalism guidelines, turnitin.com information, student resources, tips for success, and then also some frequently asked questions relating to MAP work and the Applied Research Project. So, in terms of the ARP, really what this kind of is it's a capstone project for your master's program. It's almost kind of, I almost kind of look at it for online students it's almost kind of like doing an internship without actually physically doing the internship, whereas you kind of really get some practical experience based on the scholarly work you do as a student, and can really kind of use that scholarly work to practically apply it to something that will give you kind of experience and insight that you can use in your future career endeavors. In terms of basic guidelines for the ARP, you must complete it successfully in order to graduate. So you need to make sure that you pass all of your courses and pass the final ARP project in order to fulfill your graduation requirements from the MAP program. When you're choosing a topic, you really want to think about coming up with something that addresses a problem or issue in the field of psychology, and especially within your own concentrations. Think about something that you can really practically apply, or if you have a particular work experience in the field, something that's maybe would fulfill a need or issue that you can use this project to address. And then what you want to do is come up with a way to solve that problem or fill that need. There's going to be 4 different types of projects you can choose. The first one listed here is a program development. So that would be developing a type of program that you can use to address the issue. For example, maybe you're in the organizational leadership concentration and you have some work experience in the field, and maybe you've noticed at your organization that they're lacking a program on like sexual harassment training. So you would develop maybe a program that's like a 10-week course over a duration, and you would put together all of the peripheral materials for that and kind of use scholarly research to help guide that. And also another type in terms of programs are evaluating the effectiveness of a particular program. Traditionally, these are used specifically for people with experience in the field who maybe are familiar with a specific type of program that is lacking or missing a way to evaluate its effectiveness, and that you kind of have insight and knowledge practically on how to kind of come up with the tools necessary to evaluate that program. That could be another project type. In talking about like the program development as well, if you don't have experience in the field, you can always think of an issue or problem that maybe relates to your concentration that you could apply to a real life setting, or something maybe you're interested in that you would like to use a program development for that could have future application as well. Similar to the program development is a workshop training. Usually these are smaller in scope than a program in terms of duration, whereas they're usually over like a weekend seminar or a one-day tutorial, something that's usually consists of about a day or so, whereas a program development could be multiple weeks or months. A workshop is usually more in the form of like a condensed seminar session that's a day long or a weekend long, and doesn't go beyond that kind of time frame, but could be similar in scope in terms of addressing particular issues. Perhaps there's an issue or need working with children with autism where a workshop to kind of familiarize professionals on ABA guidelines and things. Kind of something like that, where it's more of kind of a refresher, provides resources for the target audience. Those are kind of some of the things you could use a workshop or training for. And then the last type of project choice is a grant proposal. Again, similar to like the program evaluation, this type is also kind of more often used for people who are already kind of having experience in the field and are maybe familiar with grant programs and can identify a program or grant that could be useful or be proposed upon within their own kind of working situation and have more knowledge and insight and kind of practical application in terms of putting together the materials that would be used to propose that grant. So that's kind of an overview of the 4 different project types you can choose for the ARP. To continue on what I was talking about, really again, practical application. You really want to think about how these projects can be applicable to either your current or future work environment. It's great if you can find a need in your current employment situation that maybe you can apply this project to, or if not, that's okay too, because you can always think about a topic that you can apply to maybe an area of interest, like I was noting, or even better, is something specifically related within your concentration in math. And that's what I just touched on, making sure it's applicable to your concentration. And again, really kind of how this project is going to come about over the 4 courses that you'll be taking ARP-related materials in is you'll be integrating scholarly research and practically applying that information. So you'll be gathering peer-reviewed scholarly articles relating to your topic once you come up with that topic choice, and really kind of using those published studies to kind of help guide the deliverables for your project. Most of those will be written deliverables. There will also be some peripheral deliverables that may consist of things like a PowerPoint presentation, and really you're going to rely on past research and published studies. And what that means is, even though it sounds like it's a research project, there's actually no physical research you're doing for this project, so you won't be collecting any data or conducting any type of experiment for the ARP. You would just put together the peripheral documents for that project as if you were to go out and conduct it, but you won't actually be collecting any results or data for the project. You might, for example, if you're doing a program evaluation, develop a survey or assessment instrument, but you won't be using that on any participants or won't be collecting any information. You would just literally just complete the survey portion of it in terms of putting a survey together, but you don't do anything beyond that. So I just want to kind of make that very clear that you won't be collecting any data or conducting any research of your own for this project, but rather relying on published scholarly research from published peer-reviewed articles and using that to practically apply to the development of your project. Here is the course sequence for the MAP ARP. It's split out into 4 different courses, and as you can see here, there's 2 sections in the 615. One is 615A, 615B, and then 620A and 620B. These are all individual 7-week graded courses. And typically, you'll probably most likely be working with the same ARP instructor over the course of these this sequence. And as you can see here too, there's different deliverables just by the names of the courses that you'll be completing within each section. And really, kind of the first course relates to coming up with a proposal for your topic and starting to get familiarized with collecting peer-reviewed studies and analyzing those studies. That's really kind of what you'll be covering in the first course. Your second course kind of builds off of that, and you'll be putting together a literature review for your project. And really that's going to consist of just taking those studies you've acquired and discussing the implications of them, the strengths and limitations of the studies, and also kind of talking again about how those implications of the findings kind of apply to the the topic you're addressing. And after that, you'll be putting together the remaining pieces of your project in 620A, which will consist of a project plan, which is almost similar to like a methodology in the sense that you'll really kind of talk about and provide an overview in that written deliverable about what your project would entail. You know, who's the target audience going to be? What materials will you have for this project? How would it be facilitated in a real-life setting? Those are kind of the pieces that get put together in that deliverable. And also, too, you'll be including any peripheral documents for your project. Like I was saying, maybe there's a PowerPoint presentation if you're doing a workshop, or there could be a cost budget staffing sheet. You'll be completing those documents as well. And then lastly, putting all of this information together into the MP620B course, where you'll be completing your ARP and also defending it. And the defense consists of submitting your final project and also submitting a recorded PowerPoint presentation that really just kind of provides an overview of your project. And that'll be reviewed then by a showcase committee, and then they'll provide you with some questions to kind of defend your project with. And that usually consists of several questions, and if you answer all of those correctly and do everything you should, that'll complete the ARP sequence. And then just a little disclaimer here at the bottom, after completing the Research Methods in Psychology course, you'll begin the ARP sequence. So you need to finish that course first before starting the ARP courses. The role of the faculty and ARP instructors who will work with you on the ARP, they're going to be working with you on these specific areas: content development, APA formatting, writing grammar and structure, organization of information, and also kind of fluency of information. Is your project really applicable? Does it kind of do something that's distinguishable and different from other things related to addressing that area or need in the field? And also the ARP instructors will be assisting students with writing ARP, providing support and guidance throughout the ARP courses, and also prepare you for that ARP showcase I had mentioned in the 620B course. In terms of like the reviewing format for the ARP courses, basically it's like a traditional class. You'll be going through Canvas, submitting assignments. The ARP instructors will then review the assignments and provide feedback for you, suggesting any changes that need to be made. You'll find in some of the courses you'll be submitting several drafts of certain documents, and you want to kind of build off of that feedback your ARP instructor gave you and then resubmit finalized versions of those documents based on kind of those changes that need to be made. And then making sure that the students carefully review the feedback provided and incorporate that. And just to kind of a little disclaimer here at the bottom, while faculty and ARP instructors will be providing you with a lot of guidance on your projects and giving you a lot of great feedback, they're not going to edit every single error like an editor would. Instead, they'll provide you with high-level feedback, guidance, comments, and directions on how to fix issues and make sure that you kind of apply that and make those changes throughout the submission process on assignments. Late submissions are generally not accepted. There are extenuating circumstances based on the discretion of the instructor for giving extensions, and those usually require 24 hours notice prior to the submission deadline to request an extension. So make sure you kind of follow these guidelines with submitting assignments. Turnitin is a tool that's used to kind of help the student in terms of managing the work they're doing in the writing and making sure that they're not plagiarizing, and to maintain academic integrity on the part of the learning institution. Every time you submit an assignment in Canvas, if you go to the submission details, you'll be able to view a Turnitin.com report that gets included with your submission and shows a percentage of originality. You always want to make sure that you're paraphrasing material and not taking information from literature, directly writing what the author says. that's really considered plagiarism. If you do use any exact word-for-word verbiage from an article, for example, make sure you use direct quotes and cite accordingly to APA formatting. But again, in terms of writing style, you really should be using direct quotes sparingly. Usually I suggest to my students about one direct quote per every 3 pages of writing text is acceptable. And I think you'll really find the Turnitin tool valuable. And if maybe you notice that you didn't paraphrase in areas you should when viewing that report, if it's before the submission deadline, you could always go back and resubmit that assignment if needed. With regards to communication and professionalism, make sure you're always maintaining contact with your professor, ARP instructor, by checking your email on a daily basis, reviewing the course in Canvas. There's going to be announcements posted that'll talk about maybe giving you insight on assignments or even post resources that could be helpful in terms of like templates and things that kind of give you guidelines in terms of assistance with some of these deliverables. So make sure you're always kind of active and staying active in the course so that you don't miss any important information. Keep in mind in terms of when assignments are due that they follow according to Central Standard Time. So if you're in a different time zone, take note of this, that when it says 11:59 p.m. on a Sunday night, that means Central Time and not some other time zone. And also remember to display professionalism when communicating with your ARP instructors, just like you would with any other faculty member or your manager at work. If you're talking to them via email, you want to make sure you use professional communication at all times. Here's some student resources that are available for you, just so you know, and I think this will be helpful too, and they'll be in Canvas as well, but just giving you a heads up on some of these so you know. The first thing is your student services advisors. They'll kind of help you if you need any explanation regarding registration information, graduation information, financial aid. Either you have Caitlin or Selma, and their contact information is provided here. Make sure you talk to them about those items I just mentioned. Regarding the library, you're going to use the library a lot in terms of the online search engines to find articles. And the library just provides a lot of great resources. And if you ever have any technical issues with the library, or maybe you need something that's on reserve from the library, if you can't download the article right away, you want to contact them. And here's their phone number as well as the link to the library in case you need it. And lastly, the department that the ARP instructors fall through is the National Center for Academic and Dissertation Excellence. And really what this department does is on both master's level students and doctoral students provide support and also helps kind of improve the quality of dissertation writing and also project writing like what you're doing, the applied research project. And if you ever need to talk to anybody in NCADE outside of your ARP instructor, there's actually a division of NCADE called Center for Academic Excellence that provides writing tutors that kind of really provide high-level writing support for students. And if you ever need to contact NCADE for any additional information, you can contact them through this phone number here. And also there's a link through My Chicago School and the students pages that you can go to as well to find all your information you need on NCADE. Some general tips for success. Make sure, like I noted, you check your email daily and often. That also goes for checking Canvas too and making sure you stay active in the course. Communicate and collaboratively work with your ARP instructor. It's gonna be a collaborative process, and I think that'll be a really good experience in terms of meeting your instructor, on the same level and really kind of using it to be a collaborative environment throughout this process in terms of if you have any questions or have any information you need from your instructor regarding improving the quality of your project. Be proactive. Make sure, again, like you're checking things frequently, talking to instructors as need be. Make sure you take time to familiarize yourself with using the Canvas platform, that you know where everything is, how to utilize Canvas course information so that you don't have a lot of challenges and fall behind early. Stay organized. Make sure you save all of your work in case, again, you're going to be putting everything together at the end of in the 620B course. So you want to make sure you save all of your work so that you don't have issues trying to locate documents, if you're doing revisions on documents, etc. Make sure you label assignments properly. You'll notice once you submit assignments that there's a specific way of labeling them. It's usually your name, the assignment name, and the date, and then underscores in between those 3 items. Make sure you kind of label those accordingly. Also, make sure you write objectively. It's not an opinion-based project, but really kind of you're writing from a third-person perspective and examining a topic that you're writing about. So make sure you display objectivity in your writing. And then again, make sure you display professional etiquette at all times. And log in and stay engaged lastly. So after all those helpful tips, some frequently asked questions that might come up. You'll be completing the ARP process and starting it after you finish the MP 525 Research Methods course. The ARP courses are graded just like a traditional course, so from that respect, make sure you're aware of that. You can retake courses if you do not pass them, but that can have financial aid implications and also pose a risk in terms of graduating on time, so you want to do your best to make sure that you pass the courses just like you would any other course. Make sure you adhere to the ARP schedule for assignments. You need to make sure you kind of pass your courses so that you graduate on time. And in terms of contacting your ARP instructor, you can always call or email your instructor. Their contact information will be provided in the course in Canvas. And you also list office hours and things, phone numbers. I have Skype, for example, so there's a lot of ways you'll be able to contact your instructor throughout the term. And that being said, have a great term once you start the ARP, and good luck, and hopefully I'll get a chance to work with some of you. And my contact information is here if you have any questions or concerns in the meantime. My phone number and email, I'm pretty open with flexibility with talking to people, so please do not hesitate to contact me if you have any high-level questions regarding the project. Thank you so much. Everybody is going to be unmuted now, and we will open the floor for any questions or concerns.